Man, where do we even start with the Giants storylines heading into this Week 5 matchup with the Miami Dolphins? What's up, Big Blue? I'm Brandon London, and this is your Week 5 Blue Rush preview, your Giants pregame show and podcast for the New York Post and SNY. No Paul today. He's celebrating his father's 95th birthday with the fam. Happy birthday, Mr. Schwartz. But we got two-time Super Bowl champ Lawrence Tynes here, and we've got some special guests for y'all today. Since the Giants defense is going up against that highly explosive Miami Dolphins offense, hopping on to join us today is another two-time Super Bowl champ, former Giants cornerback Corey Webster, and breaking down the offensive line struggles and how the Giants can clean up their pass protection is longtime Giants guard and Super Bowl champ Rich Seubert. Know Your Enemy is back with longtime Dolphins beat reporter and AllDolphins.com writer Omar Kelly. And for this week's players interviews, we have offensive lineman Ben Bredeson and linebacker Bobby Okereke. Gentlemen, I had to get the business out. Webby, what's up, my guy? Tynes, what's up, man?
What's up, baby? It's good to see everybody.
Hey, great. Likewise, man. Great to see you guys, man. Y'all looking good, too.
All right, Webby, we've got this Week 5 matchup going down to Miami. You know, all about that highly explosive offense. You were former Giants defensive back. But before we even break down the defense, we want to get into what's been trending overnight. Everyone's talking about this on social media. Evan Neal made some comments. I'll read it out to you right here in the locker room. He said, "Why would a lion concern himself with the opinion of sheep? The person that's commenting on my performance, what does he do? Flip hot dogs and hamburgers somewhere. A lot of fans are bandwagoners." He said it a lot. I was in the locker room yesterday when he said that. He also said that he knows that he needs to improve. Webby, you caught some heat from the fan base, but you got yourself out of it, played well. Kind of break down what you think about the comments and what advice would you give to the youngster?
Yeah, well, I just think he was, frustrated. They're not playing well, and then you have, fans booing and things of that nature. And he decided to respond back to it. I would definitely tell him, you're never as good as they say you are. You're never as bad as they say you are. Just find yourself somewhere in the middle, working to be a better player or a better person each and every day. So kind of just block out the noise, man, and stay focused on the task at hand. And even if you are 4-0 right now, you still be working to be a better version of yourself. You still be working to try to get better. So I don't think he meant those things. I just think that, and I'm not trying to defend him, I just think that he said that out of frustration. And, he let his emotions get the best of him. And now he has to, stand on that and, probably send out an apology and things of that nature before he can move forward.
Tynes, what were your initial thoughts and how you feeling about it now after the apology?
Man, I'm always a big give a benefit of the doubt to the kid. I mean, he's young, he's frustrated, he's competitive. He's played at Alabama, he played at high level in high school. I mean, this guy's not used to losing. Let's go ahead and get that out of the way. They're losing. They're playing poorly. He's getting beat. Frustrations manifest themselves. The New York media, as we know, all of us played in it. It's tough. He sent out an apology. He'll be fine. He'll move on from it. But listen, the number one thing here is, guys, he has to play better. Like it's one thing to send out an apology, but, time heals all wounds. But, man, you got to play good ball. You play good ball, and everybody will forget that you said, we were hot dog flippers and hamburger flippers, things like that. So just a bad moment for a young player. And, we'll get all the hate, right? Everyone will say, oh, you're defending him. I'm going to defend my young players, always. Yeah. Young guys in New York, that's just the locker room in me. So I got Evan Neal's back right here. He made a mistake. Let's move on and focus on playing better football.
Hey, Webby, a lot of people are calling out the fact that the 2 first-round picks, Kayvon Thibodeau and Evan Neal, have now kind of called out the fan base. I mean, going forward, if they do boo this man, how do you step out there and play better knowing that you're one bad play away from everybody coming down on you, though?
I just think blocking out the noise. I think we did a good job of that. That's why we were road warriors. Remember, we went on the road where everybody was booing you. Everybody was, against you, and you knew that. So it's no different here. You know what I mean? He has to understand that it's only the guys that's inside of the locker room. And when both of those guys know that, like he said, they're young. And, one of the guys, IMG, Alabama, he used to winning all the time, right?
Yep.
So this is a bit frustrating for him. So just focus on the task at hand, block out the outside noise, and keep going one day at a time.
Yeah, I was talking to someone this morning. They were talking about how the New York fan is angry all the expectations between the Mets and the Yankees and the Jets being 1-3, Giants are 1-3. Now you get some sort of, I don't necessarily want to call it clickbait, but now you throw this in there where a player is kind of calling out the fan base. Everyone's angry. They got their pitchforks. And, like, again, all you got to do is go out and play. Just win. Go out there and play.
Brandon, I'll say this. I'm not saying what he did was right. I'm just telling you how I would handle it in the locker room if I was still playing. What he said was totally off base and wrong. But listen, he's a young player. He'll learn from it. And obviously there's a lot of hardworking people that show up to that stadium on Sundays and pay a lot of good money to come watch them play. So, again, he'll learn from it. People don't overreact in today's world over something some young man said out of frustration. But we'll get that overreaction, which I think we already did.
Absolutely. But it's great to have two big homies like yourself. Webby, you were a mentor to me during my rookie year, being on that practice squad, going up against you all the time. And whether you were breaking down London, don't tip your routes, or you were asking me, yo, what you doing your life outside of football? You being a man, you handling business. So it was great to hear that from you two, to how the young man can kind of not walk that back, but play his way out of that. All right.
Yep.
Now we can talk football now. We got all that extra stuff out of the way. Webby, we're talking about a Miami Dolphins offense that's put a 70 burger up. You've got Tua playing lights out. You've got Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. If you were back in that 23 jersey and you watching tape all week, how do you prepare for a highly explosive offense like what the Miami Dolphins are doing?
I think they got to be up for the challenge, because they're going to get challenged this weekend. And as you can see, they're going to, put up big numbers, and they have very capable athletes of making explosive plays. So I think you have to limit the explosive plays out the gate, right? You can't give up big plays. And how you do that is everybody get in that film room, B. London. Everybody has to see it the same way. All defense, defensive line, linebackers, all of the secondary, they need to be in there watching film together so everybody sees it, so they can communicate well on the field. And I think if they stop some of the big plays, then they can work their way to making up on some, turnovers, interceptions, sacks, putting pressure on Tua, making him do some different things that he's not comfortable doing, and then maybe they can have some type of success.
You talk about them watching tape together. The communication has to be there. What type of things are they communicating? Like what? Take us through one of. If it was you, James Butler, Jabril Wilson, Doc, all those guys, what would y'all be talking about if you were going up against an offense like this?
Well, I think Miami does a great job of moving their receivers around, so they'll have to communicate through the motions, through the shifts, through as well as they have a lot of what we call Dolphins route, meaning they line up in tight splits, in bunches. So you have to communicate through that so everybody's on the same page. It's not just Imano every time, meaning that receiver on that cornerback. Sometimes it's a group communicating to say, all right, it's three of us against three of them, and this is how we're going to take it when they disperse out of that bunch that they're in. And, they have to be communicated well so everybody's on the same page.
Tynes, how do you think this Giants defense matches up against Mike McDaniel's offense?
Man, not good. Not good, friends. It's just not. They got the young corners. I love Deontay. Love his competitiveness. Trey Hawkins didn't play for a reason last week because, as Brian Dable said yesterday, something about a matchup. Well, DK Metcalf we know is good. We know Lockett's good. We know Njigba, the young player, is good. This is a different animal. Waddle, Tyreek Hill. I mean, it goes on and on. They've got backs and speed for days. So they're going to stick to what they do in blitz, I think. I think that's what I would do and try and make – Tua's a really good decision maker, and he's quick and he anticipates really well. But, I think you just got to go at him, get hands up. He's not the tallest quarterback in the world, and hope you get some turnovers, because that's the only way, in my opinion, the Giants can stay in this game. They have to get some turnovers to keep up with this team, because you guys have watched football a long time. They're as explosive as I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, they protect Tua pretty well. I'm seeing fewest quarterback hits allowed in 2023. The Miami Dolphins are second. They got a QB hit drop back rate at 9.5%, and that's allowed him to be accurate. Webby, when we talk, the Buffalo Bills were able to rush 4 and get some sort of pressure on him. This Giants defense hasn't been able to get pressure on anybody. So when you got to play, you're spoiled, bro. You got to play one of the best D-lines ever. So you're a corner and you're going up against these pass receivers. What's the D-line? What are they talking about? What's Kayvon and Azeez and those guys? What's that meeting room like in terms of trying to generate pressure on Tua Tagovailoa?
Well, that communication goes as well as from the DNs to the cornerback, because that timing is so important, right? Because, it's sometimes where, if I can hold that receiver at the line of scrimmage for a second longer, a half a second longer, then that gives Thibodeau a half a second or second to get that closer to the quarterback or to get his hands up and things of that nature, right? So all of that needs to be communicated. If you can do it with 4, like we was able to do it a lot in the past with 4 and be able to drop and do different things in coverage, that's beautiful, right? But if you can't, then you have to disguise real well and be able to send pressure from places where maybe the quarterback don't see it, or maybe, it's a bird dog coverage where he gets to, rush the running back that think he's not coming, and, you end up having one more than they can actually protect or block. So that communication has to be on par with everything else that's going on. The linebackers has to communicate well with the D-line. The D-line has to communicate well with even the cornerback, because that timing is so important. And if we get that timing down, I think you can get a couple of tip balls, which can turn into turnovers.
Tynes, you think Azeez and Kayvon have to show up this game, right?
Yeah. I thought what got missed in last week's game is those 2 young men played very well.
Yeah, they did. Yep.
Everyone wants to point to Daniel Jones and the offensive line. We got to remember Azeez and Kayvon played nice games, guys. It was just one of those things. The offense kills you again. The O-line, bad decision-making by Daniel. But the D-line is coming along. Corey, I want to ask you a question. 2 questions, actually. Would you, A, like to play in this defense? And B, with all the blitzing that we do, obviously the play call before it comes, right? We're blitzing. What is your thought? Are you playing off? Do they play man when they blitz? Or are we just looking for a hot read? I mean, you're thinking interception? Those are the 2 questions I had, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this Wink Martindale defense.
Yeah, well, I don't want to take anything away from him. You know what I mean? I would like to be inside of the system. It's hard to say that from the outside looking in, but I do like when we put pressure on the quarterback, and I think it has to be tied into the coverage. You know what I mean? So, meaning it's sometimes where you can get up there and press, and you get hands on the receiver. He doesn't have that much time because we're sending one more than he can block, so the ball has to come out there early. But it's also tied with me getting my hands on. And then there's sometimes when you can play off coverage because you have no guys over the top helping or anything like that, or is zero coverage, and you want to be inside and off because the ball has to come out quick. So, it's different things depending on which speed they're running. I think a lot of the time that they blitz is not that they're just playing zero coverage, but if I was playing zero coverage, no help, I would want to be off and inside. But if I was just sitting one extra that they can block, I wouldn't mind being up there, press jamming to be able to have another chance of putting my hands on a receiver to throw the timing off, and it gives me an opportunity to be successful in getting those turnovers down the field.
Webber, you throw in, so we're talking about those receivers, but now when you're talking about who Tua can hand the ball off to, Mostert, I believe, leads the league in rushing touchdowns, but he's not even RB1. Devon Achane is a rookie that's come on, and he's kind of ran on to the scene. So now when you throw that into the mix, a solid run game, how much harder is it for you guys on the defensive end, the secondary end, to kind of take risk and take gambles on second and shorts, third and shorts, that sort of thing?
Well, everybody got great responsibility this weekend, right? You know what I mean? It's not just that you have one person that you can focus on. They have a variety of people that they can get the ball to and make big plays, right? So that's stressful enough to defense, right? But whenever somebody can be balanced, it's hard to predict what they can do. So the safety's going to have their hands full, the corner's going to have their hand full, and everybody's going to have to win an individual battle in order to, help the team be successful. And I'm talking about on defense, because the safeties may not be able to hang over the top as much because they need to be in their run game or because they need to eye those running backs that they have, and even the tight ends. You know what I mean? So everybody's going to have to. It's important that they have to win their individual battles and be up for that challenge so we can have some type of success as a team this weekend.
All right, before we ask you what you've been up to and all, give us that speech. You about to run out the tunnel. You got the defense all around each other. If 2-3 was back in that Giants on that Giants defense, what would you say to the Giants defense right now before running out of that tunnel to play on Sunday?
And we already know nobody gives us a chance, right? We already know that all odds are against us. So it's easy to go out here and just be committed to doing our jobs and doing it well. Block out all of the noise outside of the field. As long as, I don't remember exactly how many they have, 22, 24 players are committed and we all on the same page with our coaching staff, then we could be successful. Let's all buy in together and go out there and, let's win us a ball game, right? Let's shock the world. We know we got a high-powered offense coming at us. We don't need to be up for the challenge. This is enough. It's the National Football League. Let's go out here. The bright lights only get brighter after we get this W.
Love that, because you got a prime time game right after that. So, Webby, what have you been up to these days, man? Tell Big Blue what's been going on with you.
Hey, just progressing, man, trying to be a better version of myself each and every day, and then trying to work with the community around to make them better. I've been mentoring. I've been working on some, programs and things of that nature as far as helping, student athletes move from different levels. How do you make that transition from high school to college, from college to the professional level, if that's professional sports or just being a professional is going to get a job and things of that nature. So I have those intellectual properties that people are going to be able to check out soon, and hopefully I get to come back on here and kick it with you guys and tell them more about it.
Yeah. Hey, one of the best, right, Brandon? One of the best guys. We play with a lot of great guys. That's why we have these 2 trophies back here.
Yep.
But, Corey, I love you, brother. You're a great man. Good to see you doing well, and thank you for coming on.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming on. And 23-year-old Brandon London
likewise,
is.
Man.
Okay.
Love you guys, mate.
All right. And now coming up, we're going to Riverside it. We're going to talk to former Giants offensive guard Rich Seubert. And we're going to talk about the offensive line struggles and what they can do to keep this Giants offense in the game against Miami on Sunday. It's all coming up on Blue Rush. Rich, what's going on, my man?
Hey, Brandon, how are you? Good to be on here with you guys. Looking forward to it. Exciting time of year.
Tynes.
Hey, great time to see you. Hey, thanks for coming on. You just mentioned off air, we're talking, you have been to every Giants game, home game. So that's 2 games. You're on here for a reason. You know what? Are you expecting more out of this offensive line, especially Evan Neal and some of these young players, or do you think it's still be patient development stages?
I don't know what's broken, Lawrence. You know that. I've been to both games. I have not booed. I don't boo. I've been booed before, so I don't like doing it back. I don't know if it's the player, the system, the scheme. It's not good football right now, right? They have to get better up front. Injuries are injuries, right? We played through injuries before. We had guys coming in as backups. We always had 6 or 7 linemen that could play football. I think like everybody else, you're just expecting more coming off the last season, right?
Yep.
I don't think it's, people want to give Daniel Jones all the blame. But let's be honest, if you're taking all those hits in the pocket, I don't care who you are, you're not going to make the right decisions half the time. I don't know, right? Times have changed. I would love to see him, back in the day, right? We can say that, Lawrence, back in the day when we played. Back
in the day. We say it all the time on this show.
We got under center. We punted the football. We did some play action passes. Next to Eli was a running back that was a pretty large man that could block as well, right? And we protected our quarterback. They have to dig deep, right? We all know what Neal said in the papers and all that stuff, and nobody likes to get booed. But, right, I've been booed on that field before by our fans, and it's got to motivate you to become better, and it's got to motivate you to want to do better for your fans, because the fans is what makes the New York Giants tick, right?
Yeah. So if you were still in that offensive line room and you were with Evan, what would you say to him? Would you pull him to the side?
You'd pull him to the side. If I was young, you want to say anything. If I was in my 10th year, like I was leaving, you'd pull him to the side and say, hey, just use it as motivation. Like when I played, we had, it's probably still out there, Big Blue Interactive, right? That website where they talk shit about all of us. We never responded on those websites, but I used to read them in training camp and find out which reporters or which fans thought I was going to be the next one out, right? And I just use it as motivation. Use it as motivation, right? I think you pull them to the side and be like, listen, just play football, right? Don't worry about the outside. Don't worry about social media. Don't worry about the reporters. Just play for the guy next to you. Play for your team, and find a way to get it done. Like I think he has improved, and I think he's going to be a good player, right? Like I think a lot of those guys have improved and they'll be good players. I think with the injuries, the continuity, the limited offseason they have now, and all that stuff plays effect in how the offensive line is playing. Second year with the coach, blah, blah, blah. You can make excuses for them, or they can just sit there and put the extra work in and get it done. When we were there, we took pride in being the first group in that locker room and the last group to leave, right? And I know, like, the quarterback and sometimes the kicker stuck around a long time, too, to have fun. But we watched a lot of film together. We did extra work together in the offseason. We had more of an offseason to gel. But we found a way to do it, right? When I was a free agent from Western Illinois, I'm pretty sure those guys they have in that locker room now, they have to be better athletes than I was playing. So they just got to find a way to play better.
You bring up a great point, though, when you talk about the limited number of reps these guys get in the offseason. I mean, if you think about, back in our day, like I always used to say with Rich and the guys, like there was two-a-days, like two-a-day, sometimes pads twice a day. These guys are getting not even maybe 50% of these reps. People need to understand, too, Evan Neal missed some time last year. This is probably his 17th, 18th game. He's got one season under his belt, one season. And obviously, like Rich mentioned, I think today's athletes, especially on the edge, they're better. They're better athletes, better players than kind of what maybe they went up against back in the day. So transitioning a little bit, just the overall, people have been coming down on Daniel. We get it. I'll be the first one to say he has not played well, but you just hit the nail on the head. Who could play well when you're under siege like he has been for the most part of this season? Now, he had a really good half against Arizona, but I'm still a fan. I'd love to get your thoughts about him.
I'm a fan of Danny Jones. I think he's a good player. I think he's a professional. I like him as a quarterback. He's got a lot of the same similarities as Eli had, right? He seems like he's pretty calm and collective. Like even the bad plays, he doesn't let it get to him too much. And the best plays, he kind of has the same mentality. But listen, I coach high school football. I play scout team quarterback once in a blue moon just to try to give him a better look, which I know I'm not. But my scout team O-line don't block for the scout team quarterback very well. So when there's just by doing that experience, guys in your face, you can't read nothing or make throws. Like if all you're doing is taking a snap and you think you're going to get hit because you don't have the trust in the guys in front of you, it's tough for a guy, right? It's got to be hard. They'll figure it out. Like I kind of laughed when I saw that he brought a new Microsoft notebook out to practice to give to Coach Daves, right? Because he threw that one at him on the sideline, right? At least they're making light of it. It seems like they're still, on the same page, and they'll get through this, right? Nobody likes to lose, and coaches, players, management, owners, right? Everybody hates to lose games, and they have to right the ship, and it's got to start this week.
Well, they're trying to right that ship against the Miami Dolphins, playing against a Miami Dolphins offensive team that can put up points. So when you're talking about the Giants' offensive line being possibly down 3 starters on the offensive line this week, Rich, what should the game plan be going in to try and neutralize that Miami offense, or at least try and keep up with them points-wise? What do you think the game plan should be?
Run the football like back in the day. Run the football.
That's a good point.
Right? Run the football. Give the guys that need help, protect and give some chips. Let the running backs chip. Keep a tight end back there to help block. Right? Give them time. Win the routes on the outside. Right? Defensively, they just got to limit Miami to hold them to whatever. But they are scoring a lot of points. So I truly believe it's Coach Coughlin's formula, right? Control the clock, don't turn the ball over, and find a way to win a football game. I think that's all they got to do is just find a way to win a football game right now, and everything will start getting a little better and better if you find a way. But I would run the football, right? They did it a couple of years ago when Barkley was hurt. They put all the tight ends on the field, and they gave them different formations, and they ran it. They did some play-action passes out of it, and it seemed like it gave them a little bit of a spark, right? So I know those coaches are probably putting the work in, right? They'll find the best package with the guys they have.
Yeah, it's had to have been hard too with all these different combinations they've had with Andrew Thomas out, Zudu. They're moving so many pieces around with John Michael Schmitz. Do you think as a young player it's easier to come in and be a run blocker, versus a pass protection, or is there one or another that's easier, or is it just depend on the player? Do you think most linemen coming in, young guys, can run block?
I think in today's age, I don't know what's better, right? Because a lot of coaches are slinging the ball over the place too. I think it's easier to run block. I just think you need to know where your help is, right? If you know where your help is coming from, you know how you can set a kid, right? So maybe, like, I think as they get older, more reps, and you learn what the guys are doing next to you, right? Not just your own job. I always said, like, my first year, I was just worried about what I was doing at guard. And then my second year, right, I was worried about center and guard. And by my fifth or sixth or seventh year, like, I could literally play tackle, tight end, guard, or center, right? Like, you kind of knew the whole scheme. You knew everything about it, where you knew where the help was. You knew what the other guys were doing around you. So if you did get beat, you know, hopefully Sean was sliding to me or David was stepping in to help me out too. I think once they trust each other, right, the trust factor, and trust that the guy's going to be there to help, they'll get better. It's just reps, right? We talked about it before, limited reps in the off season. We made all of our stuff in, you know, March, April, May. And when August came around, we already had everything well oiled, right? Like, it doesn't happen in training camp. It happens prior to training camp. But no excuses, you know, just, you know, watch film together, figure it out, right? Like, I think sometimes the guys in the field have to figure it out themselves, and, you know, the coaches are great and they can help you, but you just got to find a way to get the job done.
You talk about that communication and that chemistry you guys had. The Giants just signed Justin Pugh to the practice squad. How long is it going to take for a guy like that to get comfortable within the scheme and be ready to get out there and play?
You know, I know Justin's a smart player. You know, hopefully he can get in that playbook and learn it quick, right? I don't know what their playbooks are like anymore, but you'd think by the second week he'd be ready to roll. And I think if you pushed it, you know, would he be able to go this week? I don't know. It'd be tough. But a professional like Justin has played before. He just has to put the new terminology and his last terminology to make the plays work. And, you know, it's still football, right? Zone right, zone left, ball and kick, block the end, block the tackle. I think knowing Justin not as well as some other guys do, I think he'll be fine with it. I think he'll pick it up pretty quick.
So, Rich, let me ask you this real quick. Is it realistic, depending on how well he does, you know, gets back into football shape, is it realistic to think he can come in and be better than the two guards we have right now? Is that realistic? Like, do you think you've seen him play, 10-year player, you've seen our guards currently, can he come in and help this football team?
It's all going to depend on what he's been doing up until this point, right? Was he training like he was playing football this year, or was he sitting on the couch eating potato chips? Mentally wise, he should be great, right? Physicality wise, and I think back just the year when I broke my leg and I came back, and the first start I had after a year and a half off, I felt like a truck hit me for the next week and a half, you know. So I think realistically, I think it's like a 2-week process to get back in game shape, right? He hasn't played in a while. I think the mental part of it will be easy. It's probably going to be the physical part of it, right? Making sure the body's right to play. But I think, yeah, he's a 10-year vet. He's seen a lot of different defenses. He's seen a lot of players. He's run a bunch of plays. I think that experience, maybe just in the meeting room, right, just being around the guys, is going to bring something to that group.
Rich, before we get to what you've been up to and how you're dominating in the coaching scene here in New Jersey, take us, if you could suit up one last time and it was against the Miami Dolphins this Sunday, what would you tell that offensive line before you guys run out the tunnel and take the field?
You know, I think I'd just say, let's prove everybody wrong, right? Let's forget about what happened last week. You know, the beauty thing about the NFL is you always have a game the next week until the last one, right? So what happened last week is last week, and let's just go out there and do what we know we're all capable of doing, and protect our quarterback and run the football, right? And I don't know if many words have to be said, right? I think everybody in the room knows what they have to do to right the ship. So hopefully they're working on it today and this week. And, you know, when I watch them play on Sunday, you know, it looks like a different group of guys out there.
Yeah, that's very funny, right? He said the exact same thing that Corey Webster said. Yep. Exact same thing. They're on message. We haven't played football in a long time, but very similar messaging. Rich, I appreciate you coming on. I know Hunter's at Rutgers. Is he playing center, guard? What's young Hunter doing? I know you're proud of him, and he obviously you coached him.
No, I'm proud of him. Right? So he's practice squad center, right? And I don't know if he's second team or first team. He's a walk-on at Rutgers. So he's taking the lumps, working hard, going to class, right, and all that stuff. It's a process, and I'm happy for him, right? He wants to go to a bigger school. He's a little bit undersized, but he wants to go.
That's all right.
He's got the same chip as I had on my shoulder, right? Go prove people wrong.
Oh yeah,
I'm happy for
he's got that Seubert. He's got that Seubert blood. He's got that right here. That's what makes it go. But
he's a little grumpy, but yeah.
Well, so were you. You're nice now, but you were grumpy when you played.
Super grumpy.
Hey man, love you. Thanks for coming on. This has been great. Love seeing you guys.
Yeah, thanks guys. Good talking to you guys always and catching on, man. Good to see you.
All right, take it easy, man.
Rich.
Man, that was an absolute blast from the past. Thank you to Webby. Thanks for Rich for coming on. That's what we're all thinking, former players. That's what we're thinking about this game going into Sunday. Now let's hear from longtime Dolphins beat writer, reporter. The man does it all, Omar Kelly. And this week's Know Your Enemy, we're talking with longtime Dolphins beat writer who now writes for AllDolphins.com, Omar Kelly. And me and Omar go back from my time out in Miami, but I'll bring that up later.
Streets, Brandon.
I'm grown with a kid now. I don't run the streets anymore unless it's Sesame Street. All right, let's go.
All right, that's what I'm talking about too.
All right, let's get back into it. Both teams took L's in week 4. You guys are bouncing back after that loss to Buffalo, and you saw what happened to the Giants on Monday Night Football. So be honest with me. What's the beat and Dolphins fans' thoughts on this game coming up on Sunday?
This is a get-right game. Certainly with the way that the Giants' O-line is looking right now, you got to think that the Dolphins' defensive line, which hasn't had a very productive outing in the first 4 games of the season, you got to think they're licking their chops. Bradley Chubb has really had a quiet start to his season. He doesn't look like a $100 million player. And right now, this is his opportunity, whether Andrew Thomas is out there or not, his opportunity to sort of get back in the good graces of this fan base. The Dolphins have to be more effective on the defensive line in terms of stopping the run and hunting after the quarterbacks. What's really a big problem with this team is that the offense is humming. They're one of the top offenses in the league, but the defense is trailing in the back of the pack, and they really need to get their act together.
All right, so, bring us into it. Bring us into the huddle down there. What are you guys talking about in the sense of what spots on that Dolphins defense that the Giants could potentially take advantage of?
Well, really, there's concern about the defensive line and Miami's inability to stop the run. I know Saquon Barkley is not all the way healthy, and he's tried to come back against the Dolphins once previously, I believe coming back from his knee injury, and it didn't look so good. But this linebacking core from Miami is really questionable. It's a little bit troublesome. Right now, Andrew Van Ginkel is a top performer on this Dolphins defense, and that's surprising considering he's a guy that's playing, that was re-signed into a special teams contract. He shouldn't be your top performer on defense, and that's just an indication that all the other expensive top-end players are not performing.
Yeah, we're talking about Saquon Barkley. If he doesn't play, Matt Breida stepped in for him. We're talking 19 total touches for 78 yards. So that is definitely going to have to be something or somewhere that the Giants can take advantage of. We're talking about that Dolphins linebacker core. Let's Riverside it. Wink Martindale versus Mike McDaniel. Give us the blueprint to stop this Dolphins offense. Are there any weaknesses?
Well, really, the Bills had success because they got pressure with 4 on 5, 4 on 6. It didn't matter. Tua was rattled. I think you have the talent from a Jet standpoint, especially with your interior players, to get that pressure on Tua. What makes me uncomfortable is Liam Eichenberg. He replaced Connor Williams as a starting center. Truly struggled. He's probably going to have to start for a second straight game unless you're ready to play a 70% Connor Williams. And that could be your area to take advantage of this Dolphins team. The question is, are they going to get the line fixed? And it's hard to say that they are because they're going to have to probably play the next month without Teron Armstead, who suffered a knee injury against the Buffalo Bills.
I'm going to put you on the spot here. Give us a game prediction.
Well, certainly because this game is in South Florida, and you know what that South Florida heat and humidity is like. Yeah. I expect just about every team to melt in the third quarter and be ready to tap out. You've been it, you lived it. It's different. You're not used to it. Yeah. The Dolphins are, so that gives them the home field advantage, especially in September and November. I think that the ultimate equalizer is when the weather starts to cool down. So I'm going to predict pretty much a 28-17 Dolphins win.
Yeah, I had to get IVs just to get to the stadium. That's how hot we're talking about down there. It's pretty cool up here.
You don't realize Tyreek leaves the game right before the half so that he can go get an IV and be ready for the second half.
Yep. Hey, tell the people where they can find you, Omar.
You can find me at AllDolphins.com. We also do a podcast where we're talking all things Dolphins all the time. You can find that at AllDolphins.com on YouTube and under Miami Dolphins Insiders on podcast platforms.
I appreciate you jumping on and appreciate the love you showed me when I was down there playing for the Fins.
Time, big dog. You were still an underrated receiver, in my opinion. So I'm glad to see you still doing your thing.
Underrated receiver that modeled. I'll always remember that.
That's
article.
what it was. Your focus wasn't there, right?
I was all over the place. All good, man. Look how things turn out, man. Appreciate you hopping on.
All right.
Hey, thanks for coming on, Omar. I've known that guy since my second year in the league when he covered the Dolphins. I went from the Giants practice squad to active with the Dolphins. AFC East champs, baby. Let's go. But anytime you hear someone call the Giants a get-right game, that ain't good, especially with the Giants being banged up and still trying to find their identity early in the season. Now, you've heard from the gang, former players. You've heard from Omar. Now let's take y'all into the locker room and hear from Ben Bredeson and Bobby Okereke. All right, I'm here in the locker room with offensive lineman Ben Bredeson. You guys said struggles or whatever we want to call it have been out there. Everyone's talking, but let's not talk about the problem. Let's talk about the solution. What are you guys saying within the locker room on how to get things fixed and turn around the offensive line problems?
No, it's a critical time for us to to come and band together, and support each other and have each other's back. Now more than ever. We have to be there for each other after the wins and especially after the losses. And we have to just move on now and correct the bad from the game on Monday and get ready for Miami.
Football-wise, where do you guys go out and practice? Hand placements or calls? What do you got? How do we go in and fix it? I know as a receiver, we'll watch tape, we'll communicate, we'll break it down. But the offensive line room is a completely different place to me. So break it down. Take me into the O-line room. What you guys' conversations have been like?
No, I think the best thing to do, after times when we're losing our footing or something like that, just go back to the basics, back to the fundamentals, and build from the ground up. We have a bunch of guys that want to win, and a lot of guys that we all love each other and we work hard with one another, and we're just getting back to doing the little things right all the time, and that's what I feel pays dividends in the long run, and that's what ends up winning games. And we're back to that now for this week, getting ready for the Dolphins.
It's crazy how everyone thinks that flash is what wins, but no, technique. We always talk, as professional athletes, we always talk about going back to the drawing board and getting our technique right. Let's talk about Miami. Front seven, the Buffalo Bills had some success on them, not only in the passing game, but the running game as well. Where can you guys have success on them?
Yeah, they have a good front. They have a good defensive front. They're strong and fast, got some good size, and like I said before, it's going to take good technique by us and good communication and good execution to get some movement in the run game and get some good pockets for Daniel to get the ball out and deliver the ball. I feel like we have the guys that are able to do that, and we're going to have a good plan in place, and just sticking together and executing out there on Sunday.
You started hydrating yet?
Already. Yeah, New Jersey heat, turning up the heat a little bit, getting ready for the week. So it's good preparation.
All right, good luck on Sunday, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, let's talk about this Miami Dolphins offense with linebacker Bobby Okereke. Bobby, going down to the 305, man. It's never an easy trip down there because of the weather, the environment, but you also got this explosive Miami Dolphins offense. How do you guys neutralize all the threats and weapons that they have?
Yeah, we're excited about the challenge. Like you said, very explosive offense, very dynamic offense. Tua's doing a great job running that offense. Obviously, you got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, just explosive athletes all around. So we'll get our track shoes ready, and have a great week of preparation and be prepared to dominate.
They got like a two-headed monster in that backfield with A-Chain and Mozart. Kind of talk about each back's skill set and how they can hurt a defense.
Yeah, A-Chain's got extreme speed, 4.28, I believe, 4.3. He's blazing. And then Mostert's a great running back. He's downhill, got great vision. He can cut back. So it'll be a great challenge for both of them.
How do you guys how are you approaching this challenge? Like, what are you guys saying defensively, not only in the meeting rooms, in the huddle? Like, give us some. Give us what the boys are talking about.
Yeah, I mean, we're excited about it. Obviously, communication is going to be paramount. They got a lot of movement, crisscrossing all over the field. So just be on our P's and Q's, communicate, and, play a very physical game.
All right, good luck on Sunday.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
I'm really impressed with Bobby, man. He is always, every time I talk to him in the locker room, he sounds locked in. And that makes sense because Week is going to make sure that he has his defense prepared and ready to go. It's up to the guys to execute. All right, heard from everybody now. Let's get into these predictions and the final thoughts. Tynes, I'll go first, and then you kick us home. If I am Darius Slayton, Paris Campbell, Sterling Shepard, who should get a lot of time this week, Wandale Robinson, it's on us. Forget talking about the offense. If I catch a 4-yard pass, I need to get yak and go for 40. It is a receiver's game because it's going to be hard to run against this Dolphins defensive front. So when the receivers, if they get a chance to get their hands on the ball, you have to come down with it. Match Miami's explosiveness, beat the heat, and just go out there. You got nothing to lose. You got absolutely nothing to lose. The Giants are going to have to go down to the 305 and maybe put up 305 total yards to beat this team, but it is what it is. You got a chance to right some wrongs and get a W heading in to another primetime game against the Buffalo Bills. But I don't even want to look ahead. Tynes, go ahead, kick us home.
This is a tough matchup, man. You're talking about a team, and this is going to sound ridiculous. They average 70 points at home games. They've only played one, but 700-plus yards, almost a point per yard. Think about that. That has never happened in the NFL. The heat is going to be a factor, big factor. The Giants are coming down from the Northeast. The heat is always a factor. It's a 1 o'clock kick. Backs against the wall. Listen, let's be realistic about this game. The Giants have no chance. Zero. Like, I'm going to put it at 1 to 2% maybe. Until they get Andrew Thomas back and some of these healthy linemen, they're just not good enough offensively to keep up with this team. Now, I think they'll keep it somewhat close early, but they're going to have to get some turnovers from the defense. And I think Tua will give you the ball a couple times, but they're just too explosive. This is probably one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the AFC. You're going down into the heat. Sure, your backs are against the wall. People have been talking bad about you, but the reality is you haven't played well. And until Andrew Thomas comes back and, say, a fully healthy Saquon, I just don't think the Giants can score points. So 31-17, something like that for me, closer than what most think. But give me the Dolphins here, and until the Giants can get healthy and get back on track. But not a really good game for this Giants team heading down to Florida.
I mean, I like the formula. Keep the expectations low and have the Giants go out there and prove it. Tynes, man, it was a blast from the past on this one, man. 2007.
Hey, where they going?
Huh?
Where are they going?
305, Miami
to
Tynes.
The 305, baby! I wish I was going. I'm ready. I look like Don Johnson from Miami Vice, but
look like $1 million bucks, baby.
Me and you could go down there, and we could maybe get on the TV cameras looking like some celebrities. But man, tough game, right? But they have a chance any given Sunday.
Yeah. Any given Sunday, and that's where it was shot, down in Miami. All right, I love it. All right, that's a wrap on our Week 5 episode of Blue Rush. We're going to keep going big with Blue Rush, y'all, with the guests and all the cool things that we're going to do this season. So make sure and please subscribe to Blue Rush Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure to follow the New York Post Sports and SNY YouTube channels for all the videos of Blue Rush as well. New episodes of the show drop Monday morning following Giants games and Thursdays previewing the week ahead. For Lawrence Tynes, Brandon London, Corey Webster, Rich Seubert, we're going to catch you guys on another episode of 305 Tynes, a.k.a. Blue Rush.
I love it.